All right, we can never appreciate you for always being there, because without you, we would not have a show. So thanks for staying with us. Retirement is defined as a time that marks, or that time that marks the passage from life of work to a life of leisure and choice. Keep those two words, life of leisure and choice. So this transition, if not planned, if not planned for very well, can be filled with challenges of all sorts, financial, emotional, and physical, to mention just but a few.
So,
John.
Yeah, retirement planning, which is our focus today, is said to be the systematic process of setting retirement income goals, the actions and the decisions necessary to achieve these goals. And it would involve identifying sources of income, estimating expenses, implementing a savings program, as well as managing assets and risks.
We've talked a lot about the risks that involve in financial planning and all of that. And that's scratching the surface, if you ask me, John. But our guests, two of them, will add more to that when they join the show at the appropriate time. Remember, we have all the other segments of this program. Emmanuel Atta is standing by as our tech guy this morning. And there is a Keep Fit segment. And Fumi takes the place of Pharaoh today on the show to complete an entirely brand new and exciting conversation. So, but very quickly, John, as always, let's do a semi-recap of what the week was like for you.
Why are you going semi? Are you American?
Okay, semi. But you heard me now.
You know, we are of the RP school. That's received pronunciation, which is British.
Okay, so what is the right word in case someone is watching?
No, they're both right, but the first entry
is semi.
In RP is semi.
Okay.
When you get to America, you can go semi.
So John, semi recap of the happenings in the week.
So much has happened. There's this one I know you want to talk about. The conviction, of Evans.
We thought that it would never come. Almost six years ago.
Almost forgotten about.
Yeah, that incident happened on February 14, Valentine's Day, 2026.
Okay.
And still in February this year. 2016.
So that was
2016, yes, 2016. So almost 6 years away. Everybody was like, what's happening? Evans.
Why would it take so long?
Well, that's the justice system in the country. But now we have justice. Now Evans and his accomplices have been sentenced to life for the torture, for the trouble they caused the family of the chief executive of one pharmaceutical company there. I think he's Aduno, And after collecting so much money, they still dealt so much trauma. Pain to him. And I think this is some statement to a lot of the people who have taken it upon themselves to think that kidnapping is the in thing. It's the only way to make money.
Yeah, I just wish our justice system would deal with these things a little faster, because now it's become a case of justice.
We thank God that the man is alive.
Justice delayed is not quite justice.
The victim is still alive, and we thank God that he got justice at the end of the day. So that's commendable.
Yeah. So for all of the Evanses out there, the law is coming.
Yeah, one day for the thief,
after
right?
you. Yeah.
Okay.
All
right. And very cheering from Lagos. Not very cheering, very disturbing, but then the fact that the police is on top of their game. We got some report yesterday from the police that more youths, more of our young people may go mad as a result of drug abuse, which means that they are keeping their eyes on what is happening, and together with government and everybody, family members, we need to focus more on that, on the younger ones.
Yes, we need to focus more on that. Yesterday I was driving out, and along the road somewhere on the Ikorodu Road, I saw this young man who just started all of a sudden shadow boxing, and everyone just turned and looked at him, and I was like, wait a minute, is it that he's on his way to the psychiatric hospital? Because that was just not too far away, or is it that something just flipped? So yeah, true. We need to pay attention.
A lot of the times you see them just begin to undress right there
That's really
on the
sad.
streets, and
That's
it's like it's just commencing.
Wow. Anyway, back to our concern today, which is retirement planning against the background of getting your finances right. Okay?
And to help us navigate the many gray areas in this is a beautiful lady. She's right here in the studio. She's a mother who loves reading. She loves swimming. And she also loves a lot of tennis. She plays tennis a lot. She's a BSc accounting graduate with over 12 years experience in financial management, securities, treasury management, business development, planning, and strategy.
That's just one person?
Oh, yes, one person.
Yeah. Our first guest is Oladele, Senior Vice President, Global Markets with Parthian Partners Limited. And she's also actively involved in bridging the pervasive personal finance, investing, and economic literacy gap amongst working professionals. That's quite a mouthful.
And that's not all. She's founder, the Money With Club. I'd like to know more about that, which is a community for budding investors looking to secure financial future through profitable investments. Oladele is FCA charter holder and pioneer chair of the Gender Diversity Committee and a volunteer with the Women in Boards, Business and Politics, and a lot more. Ola, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a pleasure that you could take time
me.
out to join us today.
Thank you so
Your
much.
first
Welcome.
name is Ola. Your surname is
Oladele.
Ola. So what's happening here?
So my name is Ola, like Ola, but I'm Igbo.
Okay.
So, and then my husband is Yoruba, Mr. Oladele.
So Ola,
So,
Ola.
so there's that confusion, right? But Oladele,
Great.
that's my name.
Great. So now that we've cleared that, let's dive in, like we always say. We're talking retirement plans, and in broad terms, just to set the table. In broad terms, could you please tell us what a retirement plan is? Assume that this young man here doesn't know anything about it.
So retirement planning basically is you preparing for that time of your life where you will not have the energy to hustle. So the truth about it is that the conversation around money is a conversation for life. As long as you are alive, there will be need for money, for finances, to pay for stuff. Now, so retirement planning is you ensuring that at that point where you don't have energy to convert into money, there is money waiting for you to live the kind of life you want to live. It's as simple as that.
As simple as that.
I like that. Live the kind of life you have planned to live. So everything is planning. Now, some jobs have statutory retirement timelines, while others are more open-ended. Where then does an average worker draw the line for active service?
So, depending on the kind of, if you're in the standard structured civil service or private sector, there are government requirements. There's a retirement age. If you're a lecturer, there's an official retirement age, right? But as a human being, you don't need to wait till you're 70 as a lecturer before you retire. If you want to retire at 60 and you are 40, you can plan towards it. That's one. On the other hand, even though there's the statutory requirements to invest in some pension fund or to submit some money into some pension fund, if you actually contribute, you look at the funds and you look at the returns, and you know that if I have done this for 10 years and this is all I have, and I have another 10 years, this cannot be the plan. So even while you are working, if you are looking at it objectively and you know that, okay, I'm going to stop working at 60, you need to start defining yourself from now. Because if you have to wait till when you get there, you are totally dependent on whatever has accrued that might not be significant, that might not support the lifestyle you will be living just before retirement. So as an active worker, you need to draw the line right now.
But to enjoy the fullness of that kind of retirement plan, one would assume that you will stay in your lane, in a particular lane, from beginning to end. If you switch lanes in between, like, okay, you started in the public sector, then you moved to the private sector, wouldn't that offset some of the things?
No, the good thing about the way it's structured is that the pension fund administrators are separate individuals, meaning that if I was a civil servant and I started off in the civil service in one pension fund administrator, if I move to a bank, I just need to communicate to the bank that continue contributing to this same pension fund. So your career movements do not stop that contribution.
Who does that? You?
You.
Okay.
So your career changes don't stop that contribution as long as you are in a structured organization. But if, for example, you decide to leave civil service and start your own business, then you have to intentionally contribute on your own because the ball stops with you.
Intentionally. That means you have to take the responsibility of reporting or,
contributing.
continuing the process. That's quite interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Records. What's the relevance of records? I am thinking about that because not a lot of people, keep a lot of records, especially when it comes to this retirement thing. And also, is there a varying time or varying timelines between men and women when you talk of retirement and income and all of that, retirement age and all?
So when it comes to records, let me address the first question. In everything in life, keeping records is like the most important thing. For one, if you say you bought a house or you bought a land in one state somewhere, how do we know that you really have that land if there's no record? And I realize that a lot of people who are not so intentional about investing, they hear of some viable investments, put their money in it quite all right, but forget it. And so if you ask them, what investments do you have? They might actually have 10, but they will say, oh, I have 7. Oh, I have 6. Oh, But part of retirement plan is actually putting your investments, your options, everything you have in a place where you can open and take informed decisions.
Sure.
So keeping records is totally key, and I think it applies to every area of life, actually, not just in terms of your finances. And then the next question was about whether men or women retire. And so if you're in a standard organization, if the retirement age in lecturing is 70, everybody retires at 70. If it's in the bank and it's 60 or 30 years or whatever the criteria is, once you get there, you retire. But I guess there's a part where people feel like even after they retire, men also try to do something or the other, and then the woman probably maybe goes on to take care of her grandchildren, But I think it's individual. Some women would still have that store. Or some women, so it's almost like a personal choice on how you want to handle your finances.
Okay, so it's not as if women get older before men.
Really?
Men
I was actually praying that. I always have this.
Men get weaker before women.
Okay, now I know that from personal experience, my brother, for instance, worked with one of the banks for many years. And then he traveled abroad. He's in America, actually. He's been in America for over 30 years. And then somewhere along the line, his pension stuff stopped emptying his account. And he just could. And I know that he's been trying so hard to get it back on. And would that be due to lack of record keeping or what? Because he knows that he has all his records, but the bank.
For the number of years he worked.
Yeah, the bank itself doesn't seem to be interested in pushing.
So I would say.
And he's not here.
So I would say that situation was fixed by the Pension Act.
Okay.
So before, and Pension Act came up in 2004, if I remember. So working back, that's not up to 20, 30 years ago. Or that's getting close to 20 right now. But before then, the loss in records. So he might have his own records, but the bank may have lost records. The bank may have had mergers, may have had takeovers. So there are a lot of things that might have gotten lost in between. And I think that's what the Pension Act came to fix, so that your pension is not left in the hands of an institution that is not really keen on really paying it. So all the organization is required to do is to contribute to that separate entity that is responsible for managing it. So going forward in these times, you are less likely to have that situation as long as your organization contributes to a proper pension fund.
So anybody in that situation, it's a lost case right now.
I won't say it's a lost case. It's individual. It depends on what the situation is. If the bank is still in existence and you can get lawyers, you probably will need to get lawyers on the situation
and spend some more money.
And spend some more money and see how it can be resolved. But if the organization is still in existence, then there might be a chance that you will get it. But it's not. I can't give you. It's on a case by case basis, depending on the organization involved.
So are you insinuating again, aside from the bank issue, that the days of having, I remember I used to take my father before he passed on.
Oh, that's over
Every
now.
month we'll take him to
for verification.
Yeah,
that's over.
It's over with the Pension Reform Act. Yes,
over.
with that, it's over.
You do it once. Verification is not only once now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Verification can be done once.
Done once, towards when you're about leaving, and basically, and then the records take over from there.
And that's good news then. So, okay.
Where have you been, guy? All right. For a lot of people who retired some time ago, retirement was like, okay, work days are over. Now let me go chill and enjoy my life or suffer, depending on how, what game you played while you were actively involved in job. But now it's different. A lot of people retire, and that's when they are most active. That's where they begin to set up one business or another, consultancy here, working, maybe diversification, or using their experiences to lecture and teach and all of that. When you're talking about planning in terms of finance, how does this play out? The fact that you don't stop work and you don't stop getting more money. How does it play out in planning for retirement? Retirement is in different stages. Yeah?
So the thing I would say about personal finance is that it is personal. There's a reason why it's called personal finance. Some people actually retire and want to retire, meaning I want to spend 4 months with my grandson in Canada and another 4 months in, running away from winter, that kind of life. And some people use that as an opportunity to do things that they probably wanted to do previously in life and didn't have time, like maybe start a small business or maybe consult, and all that. So it's first of all individual to what you want to do. Okay. Now, if you but I think the most important thing is for you to know that life is not all about working. So at some point, at least add some, even if you plan to work, add some relaxation to it and time for family or, things that really matter in the long run. I'll put that aside. Now, but then in terms of how to plan, right? The first thing is you dress for where you are going to. Where are you going to? If you want to retire at 60, then you can't wait until you are 60 to start putting things in order. You know that, okay, at retirement, I should not be paying rent. What is your plan for getting a house? Even start putting money aside for it, right? Where do you want to live? It's not good for you to live in Yaba while you are working, and then when you retire, your community is in Yaba, you have to move outside of Lagos to Mowe. It causes some emotional stress beyond even, there's a part of it that just brings you down. Right? So the planning for it is something you start when you decide, okay, my retirement, I want to live this kind of life at retirement. Then you now start working back. What do I need to do? Okay. If I want to consult at retirement, what I need to do is to start establishing the relationships so that I'll be getting the jobs. If I want to travel, apart from finding out the countries I want to go to and how much it costs, you'll now start putting away the money so that as your living expenses are covered, then there's the extra you require, you know. So it's almost like for every individual, you dress for where you are going. But the first thing is decide on, don't let life happen to you. Don't wake up and say, okay, this is where I am. As long as there's still time in front of you, try and vision where you want to be and start working towards it.
I wish.
Having said that, I think there is need for a lot of awareness.
That's what I was
lot
going
of
to say.
awareness
I
needs
wish,
to be
I wish
pushed
someone
out.
had told me that
Many years ago.
Because as a young man, I wasn't prepared to dress for where I was going. All I had was,
just
there's
passionate
so
about
much
the job.
time ahead
Yeah.
of me.
Always.
You know,
Always thinking there's a lot of time.
Yes. So this issue of planning it, we need to help freshers.
Yes.
You know, we need to have some kind of college institutions or some kind of advisory facilities that will help them as they start life to realize or appreciate the importance of retirement planning.
For
Do
that
you think
stage of
any
life.
such thing exists?
Oh yeah. So for example, I have an investment club. I have a YouTube channel where I educate people. And the social media is there, putting up posts. A lot of people are talking about it. But I guess platforms like yours, this what we're doing right now, it helps because someone randomly is flipping stations and sees this. I'm like, oh, you know, these are the things that, and it's about keeping about it, like keep talking about it, and people will hear.
We'll keep talking about it,
keep
and we'll do that
talking
after this break because now we'll be going on our tech talk break.
And Emmanuel Atta is our guide. So let's join him.
So thanks for staying with us. You're watching Today with John and Helen, and our first guest, Ola Bamidele. There's something about the name, yeah? Ola Bamidele is still here with us.
Yeah.
Before we ask Ola the next set of questions,
You're a bad boy. Please go on.
someone just whispered in my
Can we
ears
stick to the show
that I should
for
try
today?
and find out how much Helen knows about retirement plans. Helen.
All I should answer him. That's not. I shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
God bless you. I know a lot. I know enough. Yeah, that's how far I'll go.
Okay, so I'll let you off. No, but Ola, I mean, there's something I want to ask. You touched on it earlier on briefly, but I'd like you to, throw a bit more light. Now, is it safe for workers to consider retirement benefits as a viable source of wealth income? Like when you get your benefits, I'm hammered. They may not say those words, but
maybe if you work in an oil company, like maybe
the
global oil companies or an international. So in fairness, there are some companies, some organizations that actually plan very well for their staff at retirement. And if you work in those companies, you will know that your retirement is fine. But for 95% of the working population, like I said earlier, if you look at your pension statement and consider the number of years you've worked for and how much is in that balance and the general cost of living right now, if you actually stop and look at it, you will know that your pension contribution cannot be your retirement plan. You need to be doing something more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, last week we talked about, the guest hammered on the fact, the need for us to begin to invest, in different areas. Multiple streams, she said, even while you're working, outside of what government or your employer is putting aside for you. And so these days we are encouraged to embrace that, multiple streams of income. Isn't this sometimes overstretching ourselves,
It's not.
Because you have to be working to earn. So you're going to do more job than one. Okay,
so multiple streams of income is not having 3 jobs, like, people that travel abroad and they are doing shifts or hours and all that. In simple terms, let me give you a scenario. You work, you earn a certain amount of money. Out of that money that you earn, you take out some as your savings.
Okay.
So the first additional stream you can have is that you can put that money in something that gives you interest every month. That's one. You can buy shares that will give you dividend. That's another stream of income, right? Then, and that doesn't take from your work. All you need to do is to get educated, to know right from left in those two. Now, something else that might not take as much work is, in this day and age of social media, you can say, I like shoes, right? And everybody always likes the shoes that I buy. So, and I know where I buy those shoes from. I just go to the people I buy shoes from, get their pictures, put them on Instagram. The shoes cost 10,000 naira. I put 15,000. I did not put capital.
Okay.
Is when you call me, I will call the person I buy from, please bring this shoe in this size, have it delivered here. The person will pay for delivery. The person will transfer to me, I transfer to them. I've done it. You can see how you have 3 streams of income. As you build your capital, you can say, okay, maybe there's Airbnb right now. You can rent a property, get approvals from the owner of the property, because I mean, buying property is expensive, right? Rent the property and put it on Airbnb. That's another stream of income.
Yes.
Can you just see how you are focused on your 9 to 5, but there's one random phone call you make, another random phone call you make, and you are doing things. So it's almost, the first thing is about opening your mind up. It has gone beyond, it was probably harder in our parents' days, in the 40s, 30s, or even 80s, to do this because, well, buying shares was always there, right? But it was probably harder to do this like drop shipping and all, because you need social media. But now technology has made things so much better. There are logistics companies. You don't have to do anything apart from make a call or two.
Yeah. Now, the picture I have in my head is that of a woman. A woman. They say that women
can
multitask.
do a lot of things that
they say women can multitask so easily. It's only a woman who will be in the kitchen cooking and she'll be telling you what's going on TV while you're sitting in front of it. Now, I paint that picture because I want to see how a woman is able to balance managing multiple streams of income and then taking care of the family at the same time. That's another kettle, that's another additional.
So apart from when you have kids, like really like infant age kids, once kids start going to school, once they are out of the house, once you have your, I go to work, I come back, there's that routine, you are out of the house, right? You can plan your life around it. All that I have said doesn't take you more than 1 hour in a day to arrange. All like the extra streams of income. What you have to read, you have to know about investing. So if you have a reading culture, and you can't say because you are a mother you won't have a reading culture, right? You have a reading culture, you get aware, you learn things, right? Posting on Instagram will not take you 30 minutes in a day. Boosting it and you are done. And you wait for the calls to come.
Getting on your YouTube channel like Ola.
But it's almost like if you dedicate 1 hour a day.
Yes.
In the midst of everything, and it doesn't have to be one block hour. Bits and pieces, you can get it done. You have to.
So that's planning.
Yes, you have.
Management.
You can't say that because in fact, you are doing it for your kids. You are ensuring that funding we are stable. So even for those kids, you have to.
What I get from all of this is that information is key, and the power is in your hand. While researching for this, I found out that there are 5 stages of retirement. So everything doesn't come, at once. So generally, the idea is to invest more aggressively. When you have that information and you know that there's different stages of disengagement. Is there a word like that, John? Weibo? Okay. All right. So how does one manage these various stages in terms of planning for the final exit point? I hear there is pre-retirement, there is full retirement, is disenchantment stage, even when you're still at work, there's another stage where you're reorientating yourself while you're still at work. And when you eventually disengage, there's a stage where you reconcile yourself to the reality of the situation and you get stable. Talking about planning, how do we adjust to all of these stages?
For me, the way I see it, especially when you are not there.
Because it's not only financial now.
Yes. So I was going to say that in all that emotional process of retirement, take out finances from it. And the way to take out your financial situation from it is by investing steadily where you are right now. So that you don't wait to that point and say, oh, this big money I've gotten, let me put it into this, right? So because there's an emotional part. I remember I was having a conversation with someone recently, and my mom was a senior civil servant, and every Christmas you get hamper, bag of rice, blah, blah, blah. And then this Christmas she was buzzing, the house was full. And then next Christmas, nothing. Not because she needed it, but it's just humbling. Those are the emotional parts that is not about the amount of money you have in your pockets. It's just those mind shifts of you are not in the game anymore. So those emotional things will still be there. Don't let it be that you are struggling financially and you are worried about in addition to that. So if you've not gotten to that point of retiring, right, before you even get to retiring in 5 years' time, while you are still 30, 40, be securing your finances, be putting things in the right boxes, right? When you hear stories of if you had invested this stock at this time, you would be like times 10. It's the person that took that decision at that time when it was not obvious to everyone that will benefit from it. So while there's so much emotional, social conversations around retirement, your finances are one thing that you can actually put in order from where you are right now to ensure that you avoid those issues.
You're making it sound so easy. Because for me, for some people, even managing one stream of income takes so much of my focus that, I can't afford to do anything else. What happens? What happens where we have a case of, you're so engaged in that, your focus?
I will ask you one question. What are you working for? It's as simple as that. Yes, you are working to impact people, but if they don't pay you salary, will you be upset? Yes. So somewhere in the midst of what you are working for money. It will be very painful if you don't do the right things with that money when you can, and then leave that place and be broke. So as it's understandable, because if you are in Lagos, Lagos is intense. I don't know about people outside of Lagos, but Lagos is intense. But it will be painful for you to go through that, waking up at 5 a.m. every morning, getting home at 11 p.m. And then when you retire, you have nothing. And it's because of choices you could have made. If it will cost you an extra 30 minutes, right, then do those things. You have to.
So at all costs,
you can't outsource your finances. You can't. I always say it on my channel, you can't outsource your health and your finances. Nobody can jog for you and you will lose the weight. It's the same thing with your health. Nobody can do it for you. You have to engage. So if you are in an oil company and you know that your retirement, yes, then focus, drill down, get your promotions so that you retire on the highest level possible. But if you know that you're working in an organization that you're on your own, then you have to act accordingly.
So no matter what happens, multiple streams of income is in.
Okay. All right. So you see, for a lot of people, work, once you get job satisfaction, you begin to think that you're indispensable. That once you're not there, the job doesn't get done well. And so you plunge yourself into that job. That's the situation you're talking about. Then you're focused on that job, and but that job will end someday and you would still be there. So there's need to diversify. Now, I am asking, are there any down or disadvantage? Is there any disadvantage, in multiple streaming, of income? Is there any disadvantage at all, or all of it is?
Is there any disadvantage to making more money?
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. The major issue that comes up when people have multiple streams of income is that maybe their job at work suffers. That is a major thing, but that is individual. It doesn't mean that multiple streams of income is the problem. It's that the individual is probably making more money from the side hustle than the main hustle, And then at that point, as an individual, you need to take a step back and say, maybe I need to actually focus more on this and leave this job. But I honestly don't see any disadvantage to making good, clean money.
Okay. John, just a moment. Now, would you give the same advice in terms of planning for retirement that you would give to somebody who is working for someone else, as against someone who is working for himself or herself from the very beginning, an entrepreneur who never worked for government or for any private organization, who has always been his or her boss from day one? Would you give the same advice in terms of planning for retirement?
So the advice is still the same, but the expression might be different. The person that starts his own business is most likely to be so vested in the business, put his own capital and see his business as an investment. But for people like that, the risk is that they tend to put all their eggs in one basket. So you cannot tell them to say, come and invest in this stock. They'll say, I have my company to put capital in. Why am I putting it somewhere else? But the truth about it is you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Things have happened that have put businesses down overnight. Policies have come up, So if you are thinking as an individual separate from your company, then you should also invest like an individual separate from your company. But it's still the same thing. You need to plan. But the expression is always different.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate again. If you said multiple streams of income to my father, well, he passed on 25 years ago while he was working with the railways for 36 years. I'm not sure he ever heard of anything called multiple streams of income. Or is it that it was happening and
it was
called something else?
It was happening. You would have people that were investing in land. Some people would have land, buy, sell. Some people would buy stocks. Yeah, the stock market has always been there, like for a really long while, right? So buy stocks, fixed deposits, they've always been there, but it probably wasn't called multiple streams of income. You would have people have shops. One person, I open one shop here, it has grown. I open another shop there, and somebody is managing it for them. What you would call that now is probably venture capital.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Venture capital.
The way time flies.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're in a job, and before you know it, it's time to retire. Well, it's time for us to retire now. And,
it's time for us to retire. But before she summarizes, there's need for her to summarize all that we have said, because we realize that this subject matter is a very, very sensitive one. There's scores of people who have worked all of their lives and they are out there, and they really can't point to anything significant, and they're in trouble. If you were in a position to speak with people like that, to bring them on top of all of the things we have said, is there any time too late to do something right? What would you say to them?
So if you have retired and you're already in this situation, I would say take it easy, slow down. The first risk I always say is that at that point, people are always in a rush to double the money and they end up losing money. So you are in a place where you can't accommodate as much risk, so you have to slow it down.
Okay.
I would recommend starting something easy to do, not something grand, because when it becomes more complex, if it's a store, a shop that it's relatable, not somebody has this idea, it sounds good, right? Because what you need is cash, right? And you can give yourself like a 2 to 3 year plan, right? If that thing grows well, then it becomes another source of income. But it's better to do that than for you to say, oh, this thing they're giving you, if you put money into it, they'll give you this amount in, you know, and
Double
then
it, triple
they'll double
it.
it. And it sounds fancy because you legitimately need money. But you are at such a point where you can't afford to lose the capital that you have. There's no place to work it. There's no, you know, so if at that point, find something you can start that is within your capacity to handle. I would almost not recommend outsourcing. You can have staff, but don't carry your money and give to someone believing that the person, because a lot of people tend to lose their shirts on
Just
that.
play safe.
Yes, play safe. That's the most important thing I would say. Play safe. It's not a time to be excited.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to do, get a professional.
Get help.
Get some help.
Get help. Definitely.
Okay.
Wow.
There it is. Planning for retirement. Very, very interesting. And we have unbundled the best way possible all of the issues and the concerns of people who are in it and people who are still working, you know, the things that they must do so that when they land very well.
And of course, that's been very vital information for everyone. And I'm sure we all appreciate what has happened to us this morning. Like they say, it's never too late to take the right step. We cannot thank you enough, Ola, for your time, wealth of knowledge shared. And we hope that someday, very soon again, we will have you on our show.
You jump in front of these lights again.
So thank
you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. And so we move on with the show. It's Today with John and Helen on Plus TV Africa. Keep Fit is next. And then Fumi, who has who stood in this week for Pharaoh, will be chatting with our guest on the lifestyle segment. Stay with us.